What's up, everyone? Thanks for hanging out here with us. The final slate of your busy work week. I don't know. I mean, maybe you're working tonight or you're working over the weekend. I hope not. Hopefully you can enjoy your weekend. But if you are, either way, this is still the final slate of the week. And then we return next week. Adam Kaufman, Matt LaMarca. We've ditched Steve Buchanan just to make this really a more comfortable and happier place. And also because we're going to talk basketball, and he'll be the first to tell you he doesn't know anything about what happens on the hardwood. So if you have any questions, hit us up, be it on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you're finding us, because it's All-Star Weekend, LaMarca, in Cleveland. It begins tonight with the Rising Stars Challenge. How excited are you?
Technically, my friend, it begins with the celebrity game.
Well, that's true. You know,
I'll let that slide.
I guess I wasn't thinking about it because they had the nerve to not ask me to play.
Yeah, I told them I was busy.
But sorry, guys, I got to host the slate.
No, I'm excited. You know, when you said, I hope you people are enjoying your weekend. I have some time off here. You know, it's
nice.
It's great. I've got big plans. I'm going to get a haircut, I think.
Good. Okay.
Maybe spruce up the old office environment. I got a lot of stuff that I'm looking to sell on eBay. If you're into the sports cards,
yeah,
go find my eBay page.
I'd like to see your eBay page, actually.
A lot of sleeping.
Well, we know you're pro nap.
I'm not even pro nap. I'm anti being awake.
You're gonna live and die by the nap. You got to have it. You know, I took a nap earlier today, LaMarca, you reach we can all relate to this, right? Like we love the 20, 30, 40-minute power naps. You get a little bit longer than that. Basically, that's a slumber, really, is what it is. And I put my head down for like an hour, and I had just the weirdest, most uncomfortable dreams. There were like you would have thought in my head, this was not reality. Like Noah's Ark invaded my house. There were animals everywhere. It was odd, man. I woke up. It was a weird, different place, and sometimes it shows you shouldn't sleep during the day, I think.
To me, it's the best sleep. It's not even comparable. It takes me at least a half an hour to fall asleep if I'm trying to go to sleep at night.
Probably
I can fall asleep for a nap in 3.5 minutes.
I think there's a lesson to be learned there. Like if you stayed up during the day, you'd be more tired.
Nope. I have a theory on it. I won't bore the people. Maybe if you're interested, I'll tell you off the air.
No, I love it. So, all right, here's what we got. In terms of the main betting events for this weekend, and we can get into daily fantasy and take a look, obviously, at Sunday's All-Star Game showdown between Team LeBron and Team Durant, even though Kevin Durant is not playing in this one. But before that, obviously, we've got on the DraftKings Sportsbook side of things, some events tomorrow that we can look at in Cleveland. The 3-point contest, obviously we've got the skills challenge, we've got the dunk contest. Let's just go right in order of what the events are. I don't imagine we're going to spend a whole heck of a lot of time on the skills challenge, but let's talk about it right now. You've got Team Rooks, Team Cavs, and Team Antetokounmpo. You know, because the brothers Antetokounmpo have to play together in some form or fashion. That's what we have here in the NBA 75th anniversary. They are the dogs, though, at plus 320. Team Rooks minus 175, and Team Cavs at plus 200. I could break down all these, trios, but I don't feel like I need to do that. Is this the type of event you're even interested in betting on in the first place?
Potentially. I do think that, unfortunately, the team that I think has the best chance of winning this event is Team Rooks. They're minus 125. I'm not sure if there's a ton of value with that number, but as long as the actual event hasn't changed, right? I know the format has changed. It's now a team event, but if it still involves dribbling, passing, and eventually ending with a 3-pointer, one team has 3 Antetokounmpos,
yes.
Known for many things, not their 3-point prowess.
Were you watching Giannis last night? How dare you?
Just bear with me, okay? The Team Cavs has Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. And then Team Rooks is Josh Giddey, Scotty Barnes, and Cade Cunningham. All perimeter players, at least. So I would give them the edge, especially if you think, just from a motivation standpoint, they're probably the most happy to be partaking in this event. I guess the Antetokounmpos perhaps too, but I think that the Rooks should win this. But this is a fluky event. We've seen a lot of weird stuff happen throughout the years. So I would have been interested in the Rooks if I was getting better than even money. But at the current line, I'll probably pass.
Don't forget, the reason we have a team Cavs is obviously this is in Cleveland. I want to see the hometown guys rise up, rise to the occasion, impress the hometown fans at plus 200.
I'm interested in not watching Jared Allen shoot 3-pointers. I don't know. Consider me old school.
Fair. No, I think you're very much in the majority. I think at that point in time. All right, that's probably, we'll call that the skills contest minute, skills challenge. Let's go to the 3-point contest, which is probably a lot more interesting, and you can see the odds.
A little bit of an uninspiring field, though, to be honest.
So it is. Luke Kennard plus 425 is the favorite on the DraftKings Sportsbook. You got Patty Mills at plus 500. So is Fred VanVleet. Trae Young at plus 550, along with Zach LaVine. Assuming there's I don't know if this has been updated, but something I was reading earlier today is that there's speculation just because he's been hurt, he hasn't played of late for the Bulls, he could technically withdraw and not even take part in this thing. But if we're to assume that he does, again, same odds as Trae Young, which is kind of ridiculous given the injury. Then you have Desmond Bane, CJ McCollum, and Karl Anthony Towns. So you said it. It's kind of an uninspiring field, but I mean, do you have a favorite of this group?
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. This is probably the most open that it's been in a while, right? Mm-hmm. We have neither Curry brother, no Klay Thompson, no Joe Harris, right? We're missing like a lot of what I would consider the dead eye 3-point shooters. Luke Kennard is getting to be in that conversation. He's nearly 45% from 3-point range this year. He was just slightly under 45% last year. So I do think he's a deserving favorite. Patty Mills, believe it or not, has had some atrocious shooting numbers on like open 3-point attempts this season. So I'm probably passing on him as the second favorite. I think if I had to plant my flag with somebody, it would be Trae Young at plus 550. Trae Young, probably a bit overrated, if we're being honest, as a 3-point shooter. He's at 38.3% this season. That's the best mark of his career by a pretty sizable margin, but he takes a lot of, tough 3-pointers, pull-up 3-pointers, long-range 3-pointers. So, and he's taking a large volume of them each game. So I think he's a much better shooter than his numbers reflect. I'll roll the dice on him.
So I'll put this out there. Just, I don't know. It's kind of narrative street because there's just recency bias attached to it, but he is Trae Young shooting 43% from 3 over his last 8 games. Again, small sample. It's certainly not the first 3 quarters of the regular season that we've already had where, like you said, the number's much lower. But if you want to believe that a guy gets into a groove, gets hot, he's in a rhythm going into the tournament, he's certainly a guy who's capable of getting hot fast.
Sure. And I would have to imagine he's done this event before. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I don't think there's a ton of experience in this field. That's another thing that could potentially help him.
CJ McCollum, though, has taken part. It's been a while, but he has taken part in this event in both 2016 and 2017. He didn't win, but he is, again, recency bias. He's shooting 44% from 3 in the 5 games since he joined the Pelicans. That includes 7 out of 10 his last game out. So, again, feeling it. But the bigger thing, and I'd have to look it up. I can't speak to Trae Young either, or maybe producer Eamon can check on that for us. But as far as McCollum goes, granted, again, it's been a handful of years. He knows what to expect. He knows what the procedure is. He knows what the environment is. He knows, the rhythm of the clock. I don't know how much preparation goes into this for guys. If guys just show up and go, or if they actually are, in their home arenas, after practice or before practice in the couple of days leading up to the All-Star break, putting a bunch of, the 5 racks around the court and a whole bunch of balls and having somebody out there rebounding for them and trying this out. I don't know. I would be, but I don't know what their approach is.
Yeah, I think it's a fair assumption that most NBA players are more competitive than you. So if you would be doing it, my guess is that most of these guys are, even if it's just minimally.
Sure.
Perhaps some of them are just there for the experience, but I think most of these dudes want to win. The one thing I will say is Karl Anthony Towns plus 1100. He is a great shooting big man, but this is just not the type of event that favors a big fella like him. Just as a big man myself, the bending, and then constantly getting that ball up, it just takes a little bit more of a strain on him than it's going to some of the smaller players. It's not like the racks that Karl Anthony Towns gets are more properly suited for his size. It's a lot of bending.
No, it's true. I mean, look, if I was going to go with a guy with longer odds, again, it would be McCollum at plus 800 before it would be Towns at, as you said, the plus 1100 he's sitting at. I would be inclined to agree with you that if I were to plant the flag, it would be with Trae Young, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if McCollum goes out there and does put on a show. So, all right, that's if anyone has any questions, Ryan, others we see in the chat, we thank you for being with us, but let's go to the dunk contest, which sadly for the kids, LaMarca, for the children, it's very late at night. I don't think it starts until like 10 o'clock Eastern, the dunk contest. My goodness. I know. It's a shame.
It's a Saturday, Kaufman. Let the kids stay up.
I guess I might have to, or I'll just record it and let them watch in the morning like a responsible adult. You got Jalen Green and Obi Toppin, your guy in New York. They are virtual co-favorites here. Green from the Rockets, the electric athletic rookie at plus 200. Toppin is plus 205. Then you have Cole Anthony plus 300. Juan Toscano Anderson plus 340. All due respect to these guys. You want to talk about an uninspired field? Yeah, holy cow! Like that's
kind of become the status quo with the dunk contest.
Unfortunately, but yeah, like long gone are the days, obviously, of like Jordan versus Neek.
Dominique.
Like this is what we've got now. I don't know, like, what do you expect from these four? And again, it's just, like, didn't we used to have 8, by the way, or 6 at least, and now it's down to just 4?
I think it's just getting tougher and tougher to find guys who are willing to do it. So
any chance we can get sort of that, like, it wasn't that long ago, but the like Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon, that kind of brought the event back for a little bit, and then it sort of tailed off again. Can this group, can this quartet, do something exciting out there?
Well, we need 2 guys for that to really happen, or at least we need one guy to put on a show, right? Yeah. And I think that the 2 most obvious candidates are the 2 favorites. You've got Jalen Green, pretty explosive athlete. Rookie season hasn't gone the way that he would have hoped, but he still flashed some highlights from time to time. And Obi Toppin, who has, broken out some through the legs dunks during games this season. So, he's got pretty good bounce as well. The guy that I just have no idea why he is in this field is Juan Toscano Anderson. His vertical is like 30 inches, which sounds okay, but it's like this, like you probably have a 30-inch vertical, Kaufman. You know what I'm saying? This guy is not.
I could jump through a roof.
This guy does not belong in a dunk contest. And Cole Anthony is he's like small, but he's not small enough where it's that impressive that he's dunking. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't fall into that like Nate Robinson category where everyone's like, wow, look at this little guy get up. It's crazy. But he's
no
not
Spud Webb out there is what you're saying.
Exactly. So I don't think he's really live either. I'm going with Jalen Green. I think he's got the most explosiveness. He's not as big as Obi, so it just gives him a little bit more bounce, I guess, right? Obi's kind of a big, solid dude. I don't see him so much as like a high flyer, despite the fact that he's had some good in-game dunks. So I'll go with the favorite in this event. I will take Jalen Green at plus 200, but I do think the fact that Obi signed up to do this event again tells you that he wants to win it.
Yeah, he's the defending runner-up. Obviously, he's coming back with something to prove here in Cleveland. to the extent that we can answer this question, because, it's not like anyone would confuse us for dunkers, even in rec league, let alone doing what these guys are doing.
Hey, now
they're doing
I've been dunking on my niece on the little Tykes hoop recently.
on that little 4-footer. I know.
Yeah, giving her buckets.
You should see me with a trampoline and a 9-foot hoop. Watch out. What wins it ultimately? Looking back on years past, if you're thinking about it from a betting perspective, I mean, is it athleticism? Is it creativity? Obviously, you said putting on a show. It's certainly not name recognition here from the judges. So what does get it done ultimately?
Yeah, I think you do want. It's a combination of athleticism and creativity. Creativity might be the most important, right? If you're breaking out new stuff, that's really going to be what gets the oohs and ahs going.
Good luck at this point, by the way.
Yeah, we always say that, but there's always things, right? There's always things that these kids do that are just a little bit different, a little bit more impressive. You mentioned the Aaron Gordon thing with the spinning mascot, and he just, and he puts it under that was incredible. That was a really good dunk. Dwight Howard, he put on a show with some stuff that hadn't really been seen before. And now I know that's a few years ago, but I don't think I don't think we can say every dunk has been done now.
Yeah.
So I think these, whoever is the most creative is going to have an advantage, but at the same time, you still have to be able to finish. So,
well, we are going to finish all things All-Star with obviously the actual game, which is Sunday, I think 6:30, something like that. Team Durant, 8:00. I'm looking at it right here, 8:00 Eastern. So even later than I expected. Team Durant against Team LeBron, considered the home team, fitting with this game being in Cleveland. And you have Team LeBron favored by 5.5 points. Of course, the total is what you would expect it to be in a game with no defense, virtually no defense, 321.5. Money lines certainly favors LeBron. I'm looking at, just some of the past history stuff here, LaMarca. So Team LeBron has 3 of the league's top 5 players, arguably anyway, between LeBron, Nick Jokic, who to me is the MVP favorite. We'll get into that. Giannis,
he's not the favorite, but
he should be.
I hear what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. And then Team Durant is missing Durant with the MCL sprain. He's, they replaced Draymond Green with DeJounte Murray. So that's a roster in flux, my man. Team LeBron has won all 4 years since switching to this format in 2018 as well. LeBron, Giannis, Curry, Joker, they're all former MVPs. I mean, is there any reason Team LeBron shouldn't win this thing going away like it did last year by 25 points?
No, I'm taking Team LeBron. I'm laying the 5.5. And he just routinely drafts his opposing counterpart under the table, be it Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo. It doesn't matter. Whoever's on the other side, LeBron's just going to outdraft him. And if you watched the draft this year, which
incredible
was just riveting television, but LeBron's got his clipboard. He's taking it seriously. He's showing up at the fantasy draft. He's done his research. He's got his sleepers highlighted with little stars next to their name.
Well, and the best part was he knew he didn't have to waste a higher pick on James Harden because he knew he'd slip all the way down to him because Durant wasn't going to take him.
Right. And then you got Kevin Durant, who looks like he just rolled out of bed, Matt LaMarca style, showing up to film the segment. So, Team LeBron, the starters are Giannis, Steph, DeMar, LeBron, and Nikola Jokic. That literally might be the all-NBA team this season. That might be the first team all-NBA right there. He's got arguably the best reserves. He's got Jimmy Butler. He's got Luka Doncic. He's got Chris Paul, Donovan Mitchell, Fred VanVleet, James Harden, Darius Garland. The only thing he doesn't really have is much size, but who cares about that in the All-Star game? You don't need a rim protector in the All-Star game. So, yes, I'm laying the 5.5, but I will say that I think that my favorite bet right now is probably under 321.5.
Interesting. Because last year, I think we had
last year was 170
right?
to 150.
Yeah. So
the total, the game ended on 320 points.
Oh, okay.
The year before it ended at 312. And I think what's important to keep in mind is that those last 2 years featured the Elam ending, which will be in effect again this year. And what that means is the fourth quarter is not going to be a traditional fourth quarter where they play 12 minutes and whoever's winning at the end wins the game. They're going to eventually reach a point where it becomes a race to a certain number.
Yeah.
And that caps the scoring. You can't
Is it still 24? Is it still for Kobe?
I don't know. I don't know. I tried to look into it. I couldn't find any hard details on it, but I do think that will help keep the scoring in check just a bit. So I think this game goes under for the third straight year.
So I'm with you. I mean, Team LeBron going away 5.5, no problem with that. I don't know if I'd have to look. I don't know if we have alternate lines. I would go over that, like 5.5. Keep going. Take me to 10. Take me to 12. I would take that number. 321.5 is interesting. I mean, obviously, you think about what a score would look like you said, 170, 150 last year. Feels about right. I think that obviously it's a great number. I would be comfortable taking the over. I don't, but I not by a lot. If the number were 325.5 or something like that, I'd be much more interested in going under. So I think it's going to be in that same general vicinity because it's not like, as we've noted, there's no incentive to play any lick of defense in this game, nor has there been in I don't know how long.
They do play a little bit harder now down the stretch in each quarter, because if you win the quarter, your team wins a charitable donation to right. So yeah, we do see the defense ramp up at the end of these quarters now because teams do have something to play for. Even if it's just a charitable donation, I think that's something these guys do care about. So I do think that while there's still going to be a ton of threes, there's going to be a ton of transition, lots of dunks and such. I do think that we'll see defenses in the fourth quarter and ratcheted it up a little bit at the end of each quarter as well.
So I mentioned LeBron, Giannis, Curry, Joker. They're all former MVPs of this event, and all, like you said, in the same starting lineup for Team LeBron, which is ridiculous. Obviously, Giannis last year he made all 16 of his shots. He went 35 points, 7 rebounds. He was insane. He is right now the favorite to win All-Star Game MVP at plus 400. You got LeBron, Joel Embiid, John Morant. All relatively close behind as compared to the field at the bottom. You've got Rudy Gobert, Jared Allen, the hometown kid, all at or plus 10,000. So it's a wide range, obviously, in terms of where you can bet here on this award. Where would you go?
Yeah, I think you want to pick a starter, and I think you want to stick again with Team LeBron. If you think they're going to win, then naturally the MVP makes sense if it comes from their team. I kind of like Jokic as a pick here at 15-1. Mm-hmm. He can do a little bit of everything, right? He can space the floor. He can knock down the 3-pointers. He's obviously going to get plenty of rebound opportunities. He's not going to put on the highlight reel dunks, but he can drop a couple of passes. Like it wouldn't shock me if he flirted with a triple double, especially again, since the only other big man on LeBron's roster right now is Jared Allen. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have a ton of competition for minutes. So I think if Jokic gets to that, triple double territory, and Team LeBron comes away with the victory, I think he can win this award. So I'll grab him at 15-1.
I'm going to just for giggles, I'll go Steph Curry at 9-1.
Sure.
I'll go Steph. I like, it's too easy to go with, one of the top favorites. I agree with you. It should be a starter. I think excuse me. I think Curry's going to have a lot of open looks. And we know what he's capable of, obviously. From a DFS perspective, though, let's dive into this a little bit here. If anyone has any questions, let us know. You got this is just one example of many contests you could play that I've got pulled up here. The NBA $400,000 All-Star Showdown, 100K going to first, and you still got about 500 spots available in that contest. $18 buy-in. So Giannis is the most expensive guy. No shock there. $9,800 to captain him. He is 14-7. you can get, projections at different places, obviously. And, some of the stuff that I'm looking at has Giannis, Joel Embiid, Nick Jokic, all projected to be the top performers in this one, projected for north of 30 fantasy points. Whole lot of guys, as you'd expect, are in the 20s, and rest are around the teens. Everybody's like the floor is expected to be the teens basically for everybody. So I know you already talked about Jokic and the expectation that he could go for a triple double. So maybe he's your answer in terms of captaining him at 12-9. But how do you decide among those higher priced guys who you want the 1.5 times on?
I mean, flip a coin, ideally. Like it's very tough to separate these players. A lot of it is just going to come down to which shots go in and which shots don't. So I do think that Jokic, again, to me, he's the safest bet. I like his minutes floor a little bit more than some of these other guys. You can feel pretty good about Giannis too, just because of how hard he plays during these All-Star games. I mean, he even before winning the MVP last year, the guy loves to just get out and run and dunk. And that's the type of player that can do well in the All-Star game. The one player I would probably stay away from in the like true stud tier is probably Joel Embiid. I want my players that I'm rostering to be either like 3-point shooters or guys that you think can get out in transition and have like a bunch of breakaway dunks. Mm-hmm. And Joel Embiid doesn't really fit that description, in my opinion. Jokic doesn't really fit it either, but at least he makes up for that, some of that with his passing ability. Joel Embiid, not the guy that I would have picked to have as the fourth most expensive player in this game.
Will you have much exposure to DFS for an event like this in general, or is it much more of a sports betting side for you?
I think it's a betting thing for me. I mean, there are some things you can exploit, for example, like Jared Allen priced at $3K and is, again, the number 2 big man on Team LeBron. I think he should see a decent amount of playing time at the minimum. So he becomes like the guy, but he'll probably end up carrying a bunch of ownership too. So I don't know if there's a huge edge in this format. It seems to me like there's a lot of luck involved.
All right. Well, we've got about 10 minutes left. Let's get off of some of the All-Star stuff and take a look at just the NBA season in general. Normally, LaMarca, we look at this and we say, oh, we've reached the midway point. Well, certainly not the case, obviously, in the NBA. We're 3/4 of the way through the season. Teams are going to come back after the nearly week-long break, and it's okay. Stretch run at that point. I mean, we are like 75%, 73% of the way through the regular season. So teams really do need to sort of buckle down, get themselves in gear. Playoff races are a real thing, and chases to, either get out of the play-in mix or get into the play-in mix if you're an 11-12 seed in each conference. So as you look at, you look at championship odds on the DK Sportsbook here, the Nets and Suns are co-favorites at plus 425. You have the Warriors at plus 450, Bucks plus 700. So with the Sixers, that rounds out the top 5. And then you have a pretty good drop off too before you get to other teams like the Heat at 12-1. And, I look at this, I feel a lot of things. I'm relieved that the Lakers are not even in the conversation because they just shouldn't be. And they're sitting right now at plus 4,500. Honestly, and maybe we've talked about this before, but the Nets at plus 425, that's just not a number I'm remotely interested in because I'm not even convinced this team is going to make the playoffs. Again, wow. we've got a quarter of the year left. Simmons hasn't played yet. Durant's out. Irving can only play so often, and they're in the play-in mix right now. I'm not certain they're going to do enough to even get themselves into the tournament.
I'm skeptical of this team. I do not think that they deserve to be the favorites at the moment, but as long as Kevin Durant is healthy, they should get out of the play-in tournament, right? I mean, I know he's been sidelined for a while now, but it's just, it's hard to sometimes remember just how dominant this guy is at basketball, right? Sure. He almost led a really undermanned net squad to the finals just last year. So you give him a Ben Simmons.
I mean, they went down in round
Kyrie
2.
Irving. I'm sorry?
They went down in round 2. I mean,
In a game 7 against the eventual champion.
yeah. Yeah.
Do you think if they beat the Bucks, they're going to lose to the Hawks in the next round?
I don't. I just think it's look, I'm right there with you. I believe that may as well have been the conference finals. They would have been in the finals. But if we're looking at it in a literal sense, going down in round 2 is not almost winning a championship. You know what I mean?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough, sir. Retracted. Regardless, we know that this team has oodles of talent, and I think the real X factor here is Joe Harris. No one seems to really know how hurt he is, but if you have an eventual team of Joe Harris, Seth Curry, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, and Kevin Durant, that has the potential to be the greatest offensive lineup that's ever been assembled. I mean, you're talking 4 40+% 3-point shooters, and Ben Simmons. So
look, he's going to be rocket it just like corner 3 after corner 3. His first shot attempt with Brooklyn is going to be a 3-pointer just to make a point.
Well, we would love to see that, Jackie. Wouldn't we love to see that? For me, the Suns are the clear favorites at the moment. I mean, they're riding a 19, or they've won 18 of their last 19 games. They're first in the league in net rating. They're for real. I don't know why they're still available at the same price as Brooklyn. You know, the Suns are really kind of cruising into the playoffs. They're going to have the number 1 seed pretty much wrapped up, I would imagine. The Nets, again, they're going to be in a dogfight to try and get out of the play-in tournament. So I think I look at this board right now. I like the Suns at plus 425, and I like the Bucks at plus 700. I think those top 5 teams there after Philly and Milwaukee, that's kind of where I'm drawing the line, at least at the moment, in terms of teams that I think can win the title this year.
So what if you were to pick a team with longer odds that you wanted to, have a little bit riding on here? I know you're one of the people that were very impressed with what the Celtics did at the trade deadline, as we know that they had that disappointing, sort of haphazard loss to Detroit the other night, but they've won 9 out of 10 going into the break. One of the hotter teams playing elite defense. You can certainly look at what Ja Morant and that Memphis team has done at plus 2,500. I still think the Bulls, if they got healthy, I know they can't really stop anybody, but they can score with anybody. So, who's a team with longer odds that maybe you have some respect for right now?
Yeah, I like the Bulls. I bet the Bulls earlier this year at 40-1. So I'm not going to fight you too hard if you want to take them at 30-1. But I don't view them as realistic contenders at the moment, barring, some injuries or stuff happening on top of them. I think if I was going to take a flyer on one of these teams that's well down the board, I would grab the Clippers at plus 6,000 on the off chance that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard suit up at some point this season. It seems like a long shot at this point, but that has not been ruled out by either player, at least the last that I saw. So, this team with Ty Lue, they have not quit at all this year. They have multiple, big comebacks, including a 35-point deficit that they overcame to win a game recently. So I kind of like this Clipper squad. And if you add those 2, studs back into the mix, certainly you would be getting a great value at 60-1.
If you look at the MVP odds right now, we touched on it earlier when we had our little again semantic conversation about favorite and literal favorite and should be favorite. Well, Joel Embiid is the literal favorite at plus 140 to win most valuable player on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Then you have Nick Jokic, who I believe should be at plus 290. Giannis, obviously, at plus 380. We know what he can do. Steph, who was really the leader in the clubhouse for a long time, has now dropped to plus 850. Again, LeBron not even in that conversation, which is just it's weird, it's unique, but it was bound to happen eventually. Who do you like of this group?
I think that Joel Embiid, it's his award to lose at this point. The narrative is that Joel Embiid has been the best player in the league this season. It's not something that I agree with. It's not something that you agree with, it sounds like. For me, Nikola Jokic has been the best player in basketball from the start to finish. What he's doing for this Nuggets team is incredible. Their net rating increases by 25.2 points per 100 possessions with Jokic on the floor this season.
Insane.
He has absolutely no help, and he's doing a really great job of keeping this Nuggets team relevant. But the counting stats that Joel Embiid have put up recently have gotten, the narrative going that he deserves to be the MVP. And as long as his numbers don't dive too harshly once James Harden suits up, I do think it's his award to win. I would be okay with taking a shot on Nikola Jokic at these odds, but again, I don't see a ton of value because I really do think that at this point it's probably Embiid's award to lose.
Is there a long shot that is even worth losing money on?
I mean, you've heard some whispers of people saying DeRozan. I can't get there. The Suns guys have been fantastic. I guess if they go on some crazy heater to end the year and they finish, with 60 plus wins or 65 plus wins, they can get into the conversation. But the problem is that there's two of them, right? It's hard to separate Devin Booker and Chris Paul from each other. So for me, the answer is no. There's not really a long shot. I think it's pretty clearly a 2-horse race, and, maybe Giannis he's so talented. Maybe he can close the gap on the back stretch, but he would have to have a huge final 25 games, I think, to make that happen.
Well, for those that grind playing DFS every single day, this is your reprieve. This is, you get to take a little respite for a few days, jump back in, make a showdown lineup for Sunday if you'd like, and then you can really get back into everything come Thursday next week. We got a long wait here before things
going to be great
again. I know Lamarcus going to be doing a lot of sleeping. He's going to pass out in the next 3.5 minutes after this show ends. So with that, I'm on the clock till 10 tonight, so I'm awake for at least 4 more hours. Well, see, at that point, then you're just put on, it's time to put on a movie. You can't go to bed for hours after that.
You got a recommendation for me?
I mean, I'm binging Brooklyn Nine-Nine right now, which I'm really enjoying. That's not a movie. Last Duel on HBO Max is really good. If you haven't checked that out yet, you would enjoy that. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Adam Driver. You should jump into that. That's up your alley, kid.
All right, I'll take it into advisement.
All right, very good. Thanks to producer Eamon, T. Pike, undercover boss Tom, our technical director, back from Los Angeles and into your hearts, doing all 6 Madden Sims today. Talk about a grinder. The next one's coming your way in just a few minutes, 6 o'clock Eastern time. Be there for it. Have fun. Make your lineups, all that good stuff. And we will return on the slate next week. You can find us on Monday, same time, same place, after the 4 o'clock Madden Sim, right around 5:15. Lamarca, Kaufman, you. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you.